Hello, this is Dr. Grande. Today I'll analyze the case of Brenda and Dwayne Thurman. First, I'll look at the background of this case, move to the timeline of the crime, then offer my analysis. Brenda Liz Thurman was born on August 28, 1972, in the state of New York. In 1995, she enlisted in the Army and eventually moved to Spokane Valley, Washington. Brenda was a military police officer who completed sniper school. At some point, she had a daughter named Gabby and a son named Michael. While in the Army, Brenda met a man named Dwayne Thurman, and they became romantically involved. The couple married on February 14, 1998. Brenda changed her career trajectory significantly. She earned a master's degree in social work and became a marriage and family therapist at the Veterans Outreach Center in Spokane Valley. Dwayne also took a job in that same place, assisting homeless veterans in locating housing. In addition to this job, Dwayne was a reserve deputy for the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office. In 2002, Brenda and Dwayne paid $130,000 for a 4-bedroom house on East Cinto Avenue. Now moving to the timeline of the crime. On January 18, 2016, just after 9 a.m., Dwayne Thurman called 911 and said he accidentally shot his wife. He did not wait for an ambulance. Instead, he and his stepdaughter Gabby drove Brenda to the Multi-Care Valley Hospital, just over a mile from the family house. Hospital staff met the family as they pulled up. 43-year-old Brenda had been shot in the middle of her chest and was having difficulty breathing. She was rushed into surgery, where she died. Here is the story that Dwayne supplied to the police. The day before the shooting, Dwayne and his wife Brenda had been at a gun range practicing with a pistol he had purchased for her birthday in August 2015. The weapon was a Glock 42 semi-automatic pistol chambered in .380 ACP. This small pistol is often used for concealed carry applications and features a single-stack 6-round magazine. It does not feature an external safety. Dwayne complained that the pistol was not functioning properly. 95% of the time, it was failing to eject cases. Specifically, the gun kept having stovepipe failures. This is where a spent case gets trapped in the ejection port. Dwayne said that after the last stovepipe failure, they returned home with a spent case still stuck in the ejection port. On the next day, which was the day of Brenda's death, Dwayne and Brenda went out for breakfast and returned home. Dwayne decided that he would sit at the kitchen table and work on Brenda's pistol. His plan was to disassemble it, clean it, and figure out why the weapon had malfunctioned. Brenda was on the couch with her iPad researching the topic of Glock malfunctions as Dwayne started to disassemble the pistol. Without Dwayne realizing it, Brenda must have left the couch and approached the kitchen table where Dwayne was. At this point, the pistol unexpectedly discharged. Dwayne could not remember if he pulled the trigger or not, but he did remember that there was no magazine in the weapon. A cartridge must have been in the chamber the entire time as he was working on the pistol. Dwayne insisted the shooting was an accident. The police went to the Thurman family house. They did not find any evidence of a struggle. On the floor next to the kitchen table, they found an iPad and one spent .380 ACP case. The medical examiner ruled Brenda's manner of death an accident. Later, the crime lab examined the Glock pistol and found there was nothing wrong with it. It was functioning as intended by the manufacturer. On June 29, 2017, Dwayne Thurman was charged with first-degree manslaughter. He went to trial in February 2018. In the state of Washington, first-degree manslaughter is when reckless behavior causes death, and second-degree is when negligent behavior causes death. Neither charge requires an intent to kill. On April 3, 2018, the jury found Dwayne Thurman not guilty of first-degree manslaughter. However, they found him guilty of second-degree manslaughter. On May 3, 2018, Dwayne was sentenced to the maximum penalty of 5 years in prison. In September 2022, he was released from prison. Now moving to my analysis. Dwayne Thurman maintains his innocence. His attorney claimed that Brenda's death was an accident. Dwayne's conviction is consistent with causing death accidentally. Furthermore, the jury found him not guilty of first-degree manslaughter, which means they did not believe he was reckless. Finding him guilty of second degree indicated they believed he was only negligent. Some people view this case very differently. They believe that Dwayne should have been charged with murder. If he was not charged with murder, he should have at least been found guilty of first-degree manslaughter. After Dwayne's conviction, the medical examiner indicated the manner of death should have been homicide. It was not an accident. This is due to the finding that the firearm used in the shooting was not defective. The trigger must have been pulled to discharge the weapon. This doesn't mean that the killing was intentional, but it still makes Brenda's death a homicide. This brings me to the question, was Dwayne guilty of murder or first-degree manslaughter instead of second-degree manslaughter? Let's take a look at the evidence both for and against the idea that he was guilty, starting with the inculpatory factors. At the time of Brenda's death, Dwayne and Brenda had been experiencing marital discord for about a year. Dwayne was having an affair with a coworker, and he claimed that Brenda was having an affair as well. He did not know with whom she was having an affair. There was no evidence that Brenda was being unfaithful. It's worth noting that the jury was not allowed to hear about Dwayne's infidelity. Dwayne's story about the gun malfunctioning doesn't make a lot of sense. Stovepipe failures can happen even in a non-defective weapon, but a 95% failure rate is consistent with something being wrong. Dwayne's pistol had more stovepipes than a chimney sweep convention. This failure rate points to a defective weapon, inferior ammunition, or a weak grip on the pistol. The crime lab did not find any defect with the weapon. They could not reproduce the failure rate supposedly observed by Dwayne. Nothing was mentioned about bad ammunition, and it seems unlikely that Dwayne would have a poor grip. Furthermore, the rangemaster who was on duty was not aware of any problems. Dwayne said that he transported the pistol back to his house without resolving the stovepipe. A spent case was still trapped in the ejection port. He just left the gun the way it was after the last failure to eject. Dwayne was very experienced with firearms and regularly went to the range. It is impossible to believe that he would transport a gun in this condition. Brenda had completed sniper school. She was very familiar with firearms. Dwayne said that Brenda was researching possible causes for the malfunction. Brenda would not need to research possible causes. Given Brenda's level of experience with firearms, it is very difficult to believe that she would walk in front of the barrel of a pistol that Dwayne was attempting to disassemble. Why did Dwayne try to disassemble the Glock pistol without first making sure it was unloaded? Dwayne claimed that he did not remember if he pulled the trigger or not, but there is no doubt he pulled the trigger. Again, the weapon was not defective. It did not magically discharge. Out of all the places the bullet could have traveled in the house after Dwayne pulled the trigger, it just happened to strike Brenda in the middle of her chest. It didn't go into the floor. It didn't go into the ceiling. It didn't strike a wall. Rather, it killed Brenda. When the shooting occurred, Dwayne's stepdaughter, Gabby, heard a loud noise, but she did not go downstairs for several minutes. During the time she was upstairs, Dwayne did not call 911. He only called after Gabby made her way downstairs. Why did Dwayne wait so long to call for help? Moving to the exculpatory factors, Dwayne and Brenda were having trouble with their marriage. However, Dwayne claimed that he was working on it. This is why he took Brenda to the range. I guess this was them spending quality time together. Love lingered in the air along with the smell of gunpowder. The waiter who served Dwayne and Brenda at breakfast on the day of the shooting indicated that the couple appeared to be getting along just fine. There's no doubt that Dwayne pulled the trigger on the pistol. However, there is an explanation. There is a reason he would have done this. Glock pistols require the trigger to be pulled as part of the disassembly procedure. The slide cannot be removed unless the trigger is pulled. Maybe Dwayne simply forgot to check the chamber. His mistake was just a momentary lapse in judgment. In the hospital after the shooting, Dwayne was hysterical and vomited. He also became emotional during the trial, although some people believed he was faking it, like Dwayne was a bad actor. Considering all the evidence in this case, do I believe that Dwayne was guilty? In my opinion, he was at least guilty of first-degree manslaughter. At a minimum, he was reckless. I believe that, in reality, he was guilty of murder. But I understand why the state didn't pursue a murder charge. They would have struggled with proving intent, even with the affair, and with Dwayne lying about the gun being defective. What do I think happened in this case? This is just a theory, my opinion. For some reason, probably related to the affair, Dwayne decided to kill his wife Brenda. He pointed a pistol at her chest and pulled the trigger. To cover for the crime, he came up with the gun cleaning excuse and largely escaped responsibility. This was a firearm false failure facilitated fatal family fracture. Now moving to my final thoughts. There are many approaches that killers use to escape responsibility when targeting a spouse. Common approaches include hiding the body, blaming someone else like a mysterious and non-existent intruder, or staging the scene to make the murder victim look responsible for the death. Sometimes, however, killers take a simple approach by claiming the death was an accident. There is no mystery about how the person died. Rather, it's about intent. Did the killer intend to kill the spouse? This tactic places the scrutiny on motive and the physical circumstances surrounding the killing. In cases where the motive appears to be weak and where it's plausible an accident occurred, a killer may largely escape responsibility. I don't know if that's what happened in the case of Brenda and Dwayne Thurman, but I do know this. The outcome of this case could have been much different based on location. Like if this happened in a different state, with different prosecutors, a murder charge may have been pursued. Dwayne was very lucky this was approached as a manslaughter case and not a murder case. Those are my thoughts on the case of Brenda and Dwayne Thurman. Thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you soon.